Mm.
Hello, I'm Radagast with True Mission of Peace, and we're here with Goldfish Report number 2, and to discuss the topics of the day, monetary, current events, global things of interest, out of our individual goldfish bowls into a greater sea of shared knowledge that we share together, and that's what the Goldfish Report is about: the sharing of information, the discussion of topics that get conflated, uh, parsing out the truth from the various sources of information, whether it's mainstream or alternative. There's still a lot of disinformation, and we're trying to pull the information out of the disinformation. And so here we are with our goldfish panel for goldfish number 2. So I guess I would like to turn it over to somebody since I've said the intro, and let's get this going.
Thanks, Radagast. So this is Louisa, and I'm going to thank Radagast for being with us. We have the ambassador, the Red Dragon family, the voice of the dragon who's with us. We have Sherry. We have
Hello.
Sanj, who are also members of. We are True Vision of Peace, True Mission of Peace, and this is our panel. And we're going to pick this up from yesterday, or I'm sorry, from first report. This is our second report, and our first report focused on what the Goldfish Report is about. If you haven't seen it, please see that link and view that. We're also going to pick up our story about really the manipulation of humanity, and when you'd have to really watch that first one to understand what we're talking about, but we'll kind of briefly describe it. That really we have the media is on a campaign to manipulate the masses so that they keep us docile, they keep us in fear, so that they can continue to pursue their agendas. So we really have been looking at a few stories, and the top story is about this article from Pete Santilli's show, where he's talking about the trolls who are on the alternative media or who are on the internet, and they masquerade as fellow bloggers, or they masquerade as people like maybe in the know, and but they're really kind of disinfo agents. So they can do some harm to people, but their main goal is to deflect attention away from the people who are really trying to put the truth out and put the facts out, like the ambassador. And I'd like to see if the ambassador has any comments on that.
Yes, I have. One thing that many people has to realize, I mean, this is actually not, I think it's maybe even common knowledge, is that, for example, in Israel, you have, the students that actually receive extra payments to just sit and put likes and dislikes and comments on Facebook, for example. And in relation to when things are heating up in the Middle East, okay? This is not some conspiracy. This is a common fact which has been addressed on other mainstream media outlets as RT. The situation is this way in the structure of security agencies and the cabal type of people, is that what is all about is that you want to create an opinion from people. So you can twist opinion into two sides. Either it's positive or it's negative. It's almost like like a coin, two sides of each and every story. Okay, so if you look and address the thing from the side of the Palestinians, they will do their propaganda warfare, and then you will see, for example, the side of the Israelis, they will do their public relationship propaganda changing, and then basically both of them, they have their own reality of the victimhood in the situation. Then the people that is the third party people are sitting and making an opinion. Like, for example, someone was saying to me yesterday, it was an article where someone said that he wanted to bomb the whole Muslim world, nuke the whole Muslim world. Okay, and then basically I call this person insane, because this person is completely insane. Okay, and I think this person probably is more dangerous than the leader of ISIS. Okay, why would I say that he's insane and that he's such a dangerous person? Because just use common sense here. It's 2 billion Muslims on the planet, okay? And so basically, if we would take and bomb these 2 billion people that is around the world, and people think, oh, the Muslim world, is it only Iraq and Syria? No, the Muslim world is spread all over the world. United States, who has 300 million people, doesn't even come close to an opinion of 2 billion. And even inside of United States, you have, maybe, I don't know exactly how many, but you have around maybe 10 million Muslims or something like that. I'm not remember exact numbers, how many Muslims is in America, but it's a huge population of Muslims in America too. So if someone would say, let's kill 2 billion people on the planet, okay? I mean, this is a major, what's called, population reduction campaign. But the most important thing, if you would nuke these 2 billion people on the planet, basically we would have nowhere to live. The whole world would be basically in a nuclear holocaust, and we would have no possibilities to survive such an impact, okay? Because, look at the Muslim world. You have, many hundreds of millions of Muslims in India. You would have to bomb India, which is supposedly an ally. And you would have to bomb, China, which has also, a huge population of Muslims, even above 100 million. And you would have to bomb Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, okay, Bosnia. You would have to bomb the Caucasus. You would have to bomb Turkey, which is also supposedly an ally. You would have to bomb the whole Middle East, and you would have to bomb Africa, and you have to bomb some islands all around the world in different locations. And you have, a huge Muslim population in Europe, which we also would have to bomb or, kill them by, in concentration camps. A person with this type of mentality is, by my consideration, insane, okay? But this person that was making the statement, he says that half the world would agree. So now if you just use common sense, it would be impossible for half the world to agree with this opinion, just knowing the numbers. But the person, is, by my opinion, ignorant. And, and this is what is the problem. We're talking about disinformation and information. Now you have people that sit and promote racism. You have people that sit and promote hate and fear, okay? And basically, I think that no nation on the planet is not responsible for propaganda warfare, okay? So basically, the problem is that, yes, you have people that sits there, aggressing on us. And what they normally do is that they try to first aggress on the people to defame them. If that doesn't work, then maybe after that they go to the far extension of actually get rid of you, okay? And that we have seen in many examples. And when they put the pressure of defaming you, then basically if you join them, then you will be a big person. If you don't join them, okay, then they get rid of you. And this is also things that you can go and research, and you will see that this is actually the truth, okay? So the problem in this way is that, yes, you should always take in consideration what is the opinion. Why do we have so many angry Americans? Why do we have so many angry Europeans who wants to kill all the Muslims? And, it's like, for example, the Americans, okay, for example, who is basically then saying they want to bomb the whole Middle East. What have they been doing this last years? Okay? They have already killed millions of Muslims. I mean, how many Muslims more do you want to kill? Okay? And would we say that basically, if you look at all the major wars on the planet, has been waged in the name of Christianity or by Christian people, or maybe they did it. By my consideration, they're not Christian because they don't follow the teachings of Jesus. But the thing is this way, that the Christian nations has traumatized the planet for 2,000 years. Okay, enslaving people, killing and raping and plundering people. Even my ancestors were forced to become Christians, like probably most of other ones here also, if you go back in history. So the thing is this way, we have to look ourselves in the mirror, and we have to, make an awareness what's really going on. I had a discussion with a person yesterday that made me, really, really scared, okay? Almost traumatized, okay? Why? Because the arrogance and ignorance of this person was amazing, okay? And I think that this is the problem. Who created this ignorance? And that is basically the media. If you continue to base all your information for Fox News, you're going to be a very dangerous, angry white American, okay? And that's the truth, okay? That's the truth. So basically, I think that we need to keep, actually, the media responsible for crimes against humanity, because they're the ones that basically gives the toll to actually create this problem, okay? So I will leave you, Louis, to continue. And now I just was blathering on. I think that you are muted.
Yes, Louise. Louise,
Yes,
are you
she
muted?
Thank you.
Please continue.
Yeah. I think the goal is to use what you're saying is that people need to use discernment. And the problem is that their goal of the operatives there that are, masquerading as these bloggers or people who are like followers of bloggers, but they really aren't, because they use online aliases, so you don't know who they are. They won't tell you who they are. They'll just but the problem is their goal is to really cause confusion, so people can't discern, and it becomes a vicious cycle where people really have no idea. They really get frustrated because they just don't know. And the question is, how can people discern a little bit better? And I think maybe the ambassador may want to comment on that before I go to our panel.
Yeah, I believe, like I've been saying since I came online about 1 year ago, when I stated that we are responsible for good and evil, okay, I've been repeating that over and over again, that basically we are like God and we are like Satan in one entity. We can do good, we can do bad, okay? So basically what is our responsibility is actually to take in consideration, okay, our own actions. Be responsible for your own things. I said, research it. Please research the information. Okay, you want to talk about Muslims? Maybe you should spend some time with Muslims. Okay, I've been in many Muslim countries. I didn't meet many Muslims when I was there. You understand? And so the thing is this way, is that, spend some time with people. People want to bomb Iran, bomb Iran, bomb Iran. Okay, maybe some people should go to Iran. Iranians are not such a dangerous people. It's many likable people there, wonderful people that probably, are atheists, and you have even a lot of Jews and Christians in Iran too. And the bombs will not see the difference. You understand? They will kill them equally, doesn't matter. Okay? So people has to wake up a little bit and stop being so arrogant and ignorant and just screaming and shouting of the blood of innocent souls. Okay?
Well,
And so I think this is very important.
That's a very good point. So doing research is, the way to help yourself discern this. Sherry, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. I think even when we do our research, even if it's, say, not in the mainstream, and even if it's from, say, an investigative journalist whom we respect, you never know where the source of the information is coming. So we always have to be open-minded. Even when we get information from someone we respect, how do we know if some information was fed to them? So I think we always have to stay open-minded. I feel like mainstream media is, at least in the United States, it's like a drug. We're used to getting this information, and you get hooked on it. And I've unplugged myself, and I think it's important for people to try and do that, because when you're plugged into it and sort of using it, as I said, like a drug, you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't not listen to the news because then I won't know what's going on in the world. You feel like you're going to go on a free fall, that you're just not going to survive. I'm saying this because that's how I felt before I unplugged. I was like, especially being a journalist and doing research. But the amazing thing that happened was just the opposite. you actually wake up to more of what's really going on than the propaganda that's being fed to us in the mainstream. And you can step back, and it's like a programming. It's almost like a programming to our brain, and you have to step away and unplug from that so that you can open your view and your vision and your brain to see, to discern more of what's really going on.
So are you saying, Sherry, that these are, let me ask Radagast, do you think that these people are there to seed a certain agenda into the different websites? What do you think, Radagast?
I think there's no question that they're trying to seed something. There's some pretty major supposed alternative websites like Before It's News, which to me are just horrific. Very distorted, very sensational. It's really just kind of like mainstream news sensationalism, but they're going for what are the memes and the themes that people look for in the alternative media. So it's just, it's chemtrails, it's, scalar weapons, it's Jade Helm, it's all the things that are the top news stories in the alternative media. And with all this, just lots of, alleged sayings and, just fear. And so it's really not any different. And even on these alternative websites, they'll use words like Sharia. And that's another very plugged in term. Sharia is Islamic law. It's their legal system. It isn't some weird hand chopping system. It's a very evolved, deep legal system that in Arabic is called Sharia. But they take this Arabic word and they try to make it sound like, oh yeah, all women have to wear burqas, and if you steal a piece of gum, they're going to cut off your hand. There's this whole disruption and panic around one of the most refined legal systems in the world, which is Islamic law. And here's like something a lot of people may not have known. There was a man in Iran. This is probably a year old now, and he had killed a woman's son. So they had sentenced him to be hung. So he was standing on a chair with a noose around his neck, and the woman whose son was murdered was asked to come over and pull the chair out. What she did was she smacked him in the face, removed the noose, and said, I'm adopting him as my son. He took my son, and I'm adopting this man as my son. America thinks it has a great justice system. Try and take somebody who's about to be executed and have the victim come in and say, nah, I've changed my mind, and where they have the power to end the execution. That's Sharia. And again, if your Sharia is being administered by some local fundamentalist cretin, you're going to have a cretinous justice system, just like much of our justice is cretinous and it's very low level. But this is a case of how distortions happen, where they take a term like Sharia, which nobody knows it's a refined religious law. It's not religious, it's actually their justice system based on God concept. We put our hand in the Bible in Western courts, but where's the God in our justice system? Think about, you can't collect rain off your roof in some places. That's a law. The rain that God gives us, we're not allowed to collect. Where's the God in our legal system is what I'd like to ask. So, so we really have to kind of reclaim the intellectualism in our dialogue and remove the boogeyman words. Like Sharia is a boogeyman word. And I really hope to do in the GoldFish report. That's one of the things I think we can do is start taking terms that even in the alternative community, they use Sharia in a derogatory way. It's because they're ignorant. They're just, they're goldfish with different interests. And so the whole thing is let's really open up all these different cans of worms and that's by finding the emotional trigger phrases like Sharia. Because one of the reasons that people have trouble discerning is because they get plugged in emotionally. And as soon as you're plugged in emotionally, you lose your mental body because you release adrenaline. And adrenaline does not promote higher thinking.
That's very true, Radagast. This is a non-denominational, panel, the GoldFish reports, and even the whole, true mission of peace, because there's good in all religions and there's also manipulation in all religions. But I think what Sherry was saying is, if it bleeds, it leads, and that's, unfortunately, we've gotten drawn into this disinfo war. Sanjay, what do you think about this whole disinfo war, and what do you think people can do to maybe help to see through it, because it's a battle for sure.
Well, as the ambassador said, and as Radagast and Sherry said, I think there's a lot of misinfo and misunderstanding. People are aggressing on others without actually understanding what they're aggressing on, right? So, as Brother Radagast just said about the Sharia law, people don't understand what it is, and they aggress on it. Like, yes, the first one ambassador said about Bismillah before eating something. People don't understand. It's like blessing your food or water or whatever before eating, right? Khuda Hafiz means like see you later in American terms or whatever, but it's God willing, inshallah is again God willing. So there's all these words that are religious words. So it's like saying, God bless, and then all of a sudden people start aggressing on that, then there's a problem. This is the misinformation, because what it is it's not Western. The Western world doesn't want to understand it. If it's anything alternative, it's you aggress on it is the easiest way. And this is what we need to educate people on and explain what, like Brother Rega said, it's actually not a law. I mean, it's not a religion thing, it's a law, and doesn't matter. I mean, like, look at England and Ireland, for example. There's two Christian nations, but one was Protestant, one was Catholic. They aggressed on each other on religion all the time. So there's no religion that you can say that doesn't have this issue. It's who's driving the religion, right? I mean, in Iran, as the ambassador said, there's many people that are not Muslim, right? Not all Iranians are Muslim, but people would say, no, the Iranians. There's Christians there, there's Parsis that are not, like they're a different form of Muslim, but they're not, the fundamental type of thing that everyone gets tarred with the same brush.
So Sanjay, what you're saying is that people have their own. So if someone has a pair of pink glasses, everything is going to be roses to them. So the problem is we have these filters, and everyone has these biases and perspectives. And so we're going to look at a news story, but maybe 5 different people are going to see it from a different perspective. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yes,
100%. Can you imagine if the world looked at America with the Waco, Texas glasses? Right? That Americans are just crazy, religious fundamentalist, and they're going to create another Waco, Texas. Everyone in America is a gun-shooting religious clan or cult. You can't do that. You can't just take a small group and label 2 billion people with it.
Not at all.
One thing that is very important to pay attention to, okay, that many people doesn't understand. Inside of Islam, you have many different forms of Sharias, okay? You have different type of sects, okay, and they are interpreting the Sharia differently. Like, for example, you have Hanifis, you have Malikis, and you have inside of the Sunni faiths, for example. And you have also, the Shias, and they also have different sects inside of the Shias too. And many people doesn't know, for example, in Iran, as a good example, we are always criticizing Iran, but we don't talk too much about Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia do not accept anyone that is not Muslim to be a part of their government. In Iran, you have Jewish people, Christians, and like you said, Parsis, and you have the people that worship fire too, Zoroastrians. And you have a lot of different religions. Zoroastrian is a Persian religion from the beginning, and people doesn't see that, and the Buddhist definitely doesn't see the difference. And also at the same time, in Shiism, for example, you have something called Shira, and in this Shira system, it's for example temporary marriages, time restraint marriages, and also, for example, they also allow, for example, homosexuals to change themselves into women, and they can also marry And so, I mean, this is something that is not done, inside of Sunnism. But in reality, in Shia Iran, you have men marrying men and having sex changes sponsored by the government, and they are far more advanced in the gay rights society than any of the European, or especially America, is at this point of time. So, and this is now people are going to say, "Oh, the ambassador is supporting homosexuality." No, I think that the sexuality is something that people should keep in their bedroom, and and they can do whatever they want to do. It's not my business. And the thing is this way, that from my opinion, to try to keep this awareness, the same thing as like with Palestinians. Palestinians, it's not all Muslims. You have a lot of Christian Palestinian, Orthodox Christians, and there also people doesn't see the color, but just talking about Hamas and so, the whole thing with Sharia is because Sharia is something that the cartoon characters of the world, and the Jal and the Antichrist really is scared of. That's why they want to demonize the word Sharia, so that everyone should automatically have a negative opinion about it because it symbolizes something. It's the same thing with Muslims. Suddenly Muslims is people doesn't even dare to say it because they would be aggressed on, because people are having such a terrible ideas about what Muslims is. And if we would do the same thing, example, about any other religion, we would be called a lot of different words. Also, I wanted to state something when it comes to media. Like, for example, you have Before the News, I think is a fear magazine in many cases that just try to promote a lot of fear-based things. But if you see, for example, like you have the Goldwater report, okay, that was doing this article on what's his name, Keenan and the crew, okay, and this Drake. He actually didn't present claims or Google research things on them and try to slander them. He actually performed evidence. He showed what's called the facts, not just claims and aggressions and things. He put forward the facts about these people, and he did a thorough work to try to enlighten people about the true nature of these characters. Okay, and basically, I've studied a lot of things that he's been doing also, and he's been doing a very good thorough work and presenting facts and putting a lot of things forward. And basically, he doesn't have a lot of followings, unfortunately, and all this basically disinformation agents and frauds are having all this great attention to themselves, and supposed freedom fighters and whatever they want to call themselves. In reality, it's again, basically overweight white males that has the problem with colored people and other people, and having a lot of anger inside themselves, a lot of fear based on their own ignorance. So I think that the thing which is important to state here, very important, like myself, I stated so many times before, I want to remind people about it. I mean, in my own family, I have Jewish people, I have Christian people, I have Muslim people, and we live in total harmony. And I have atheists in our family too, and communists, okay? And they're good people too, and I have no problems with anyone. We are not basing our hate on things. It's a lot of good people that are Jewish, it's a lot of good people that are Christian, it's a lot of good people that are Muslims, and I think that they are actually majority from the bad people. But the only thing that sells is basically fear and hate. So that's why the only thing you see something in the news is just basically what is bad happening in the world. And I think what we need to do is to research the sources of what's going on. Actually, if you're a Muslim and hate Jewish people, maybe you should spend some more time with Jewish people. If you're a Christian person hating Muslims, maybe you should go to the mosque and meet with people there, okay? And and see how they are as people. I mean, we have people all around the world that is wonderful. Muslim countries on the planet. And I've been so tremendously well taken care of by most people. And yes, I've been disturbed by some security services in some of these countries, but if I look at the short period of time that I was disturbed by this type of religious fundamentalist, compared to all the love I received from the people in that country, it's such a minority that I should not even bring it up. You understand? So I think we should all focus on the good thing and basically try to find a solution. Now you have the Iranian deal there with that everyone is criticizing with Obama. And other people think that we should reward them by bombing them. Yeah, that would be a great solution. You see how good it went with Iraq, and I can tell you one thing, and this is not an idea. This is actually a promise for me, that if you would bomb Iran, as one other military expert said, just pick a city. Okay, so don't even try to have this type of idea. You have to be awakened to the reality that violence do not solve anything. We need to sit down and discuss and find solutions and stop being bullies. Okay?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think what you're talking about is that this is, the program that the oligarchs have created for us. And even before the oligarchs, I think are, the ones we talked about yesterday who manipulated our genetics to keep us divided, because they can only succeed at this in secrecy. They can only succeed at this when they divide us. They cannot succeed once people wake up and really see the power and control structure. Then we come together in unity consciousness. And the ambassador said yesterday, God consciousness, not religion, because the religion was created to divide us, not unite us. We're not uniting. We're not uniting because religion. Whose religion is better? Your religion, my religion? It doesn't. It's an argument no one's ever going to win, and that's why you have to start thinking: is this good for me? And it's really an individual process. Sherry, did you want to comment on that?
Well, what we're talking about here is misinformation, and if you think about it, what does misinformation bring up in people? It brings up fear. It brings up anger, it brings up divide, it brings up hate, this misinformation. So we're saying, well, is someone putting this out intentionally to divide and conquer? To divide and conquer humanity. It's easier, it seems, to make that choice of being ticked off and angry, and that's probably because we've been programmed that way, to divide and conquer. It's a little bit more of a challenge sometimes, unless we meditate and unplug, to exist in love, dignity and respect for others, service to others. And so when we're falling into this misinformation and feeding this fear, we're creating this cycle that just keeps feeding itself and going around and around, and we have to break the cycle. And this is what we're talking about. Is unplugged from the misinformation. You can feel it in your heart. You can feel it in your gut if something is right or if it's not right. And one of the things I've learned...
Isn't this hurting the masses, though, Sherry? Isn't this hurting the masses?
Yes, it is. And one of the things I've learned that I want to close on is that we'll just say the people in control who are controlling the media and feeding us this misinformation and the propaganda, well, there's something that feeds them, and whatever it is that feeds them, feed off fear. That's their food. Can you imagine if we said, okay, 1 hour, 1 day, if we could do that, everyone on the planet existed in all you need is love. I mean, really a positive vibration, a high vibration, unplug from all the bullshit, and just exist for a minute, a few minutes, an hour into a higher vibration. This whole planet will be transformed.
I want to say one, Louis. I want to say one very important thing. I received a mail from a person that worked for the Mossad this morning about some statements that was issued by the great Ayatollah banning Israeli goods and banning everything coming out of Israel as putting sanction on Israel. I would think it's like this: Israel and Israelis and Jewish people have contributed so greatly to humanity by both inventions and technologies and so on and so on. And basically, the most important thing I wanted to put attention to this is that people are going to put that as a very big fear mongering, oh, he's saying that, he's saying that. I'm telling you one thing, and this is not that, that this is based on nothing. Whatever this great Ayatollah is saying in Iran, okay, and whatever he declares, he's speaking to deaf ears. Majority of the young kids of Iran can't stand that old man, okay, and that's the truth, okay. And if it wasn't for the United States and America and Israel, that old man would be gone long time ago. It's fashionable to have this type of old, angry people that claims to be religious scholars and fundamentalists sitting and making this type of ignorant comments. And now, maybe the Iranian government is going to try to hunt me down for slashing him. But the thing is, this very seriously is this way, is that this type of comment is based on such deep ignorance. And you have to tell the truth, okay? The truth is that the Iranian youth and majority of Iranian people will continue to use Iranian products, and they're not that brainwashed to believe in such a type of stupid propaganda. But he creates this propaganda that the cabal wants to have. They want to have these stupid comments from these old religious bigots coming out with all these nonsense stories that they do, and we put all the efforts into it. It's like, oh, the Pope, he said, divorced people supposed to be able to remarry. Oh, he's the Antichrist. Wake up, people. What type of hypocrites are you? I mean, you people have been divorcing each other back and forward for all these years, and now you're being traumatized when the Pope says it's okay? You understand? Now, the thing is this way, is that I don't actually care what the Pope says. I do care what he do. Okay? And this is very, very important. If he do something that is good for humanity, I'm on his side. Okay? Even I'm not a Catholic, I will be on his side. And if he says, for example, that we should stop killing homosexuals and whatever, I'm on his side for that. And people say, the Sharia states and Sharia this and Sharia that. Yes, read the Bible. It says that if your kid doesn't obey you, you can stone him to death. Do I recommend that we should go out and stone our children when we get upset about them? Of course not. This is stupid. Okay? Now, I believe that we have to wake up and do and follow the teachings of Jesus, basically be loving to your neighbors. Treat the people the way that you want to be treated yourself. Okay? Now the thing is this way. Do I believe myself? Now it's going to again create trauma, but we are here to talk about things that makes people awake. Do I believe that homosexuals should be able to marry in church? I do not agree with that. Why? Because in the religion of Christianity, homosexuality is actually a sin. So why would you bring in that in the church? But do I agree that homosexuals should be able to marry in a government building? Yeah, please do. So I don't give a shit. That's between them. And if a state want to agree with that, so be it. But as in a religious institution, that's hypocrisy if you do that. And actually in Islam, it's also hypocrisy, but the Shias probably will not agree with me about that. Okay? But the thing is this way, I'm not belonging to any particular sect. I believe in the Creator. And I don't believe in religion. I believe basically religion was there to create division between men. And I believe in the Creator, and I believe in God consciousness. And basically you will find it anywhere. And, and I think this is very important. Okay? But please, if someone wants to share their opinion about it, I'm very free to do so. Okay?
Well, this is definitely the Ambassador Uncut today. And what we have is, this is really brilliantly evil, though, isn't it? I mean, if there's a way for people to think that they're much bigger, better than us to control us, it's to create an unwinnable war, isn't it, between religions? So it's really brilliantly, but it's brilliant, but it's brilliantly evil, is what it is. Sanjay, you have your icon up. What did you want to comment on? Wait 1 second. Oop.
Yep, I got it. You there?
We're here.
So, I mean, what I was going to talk about was the whole institute scenario, right? We talk about I've got gay friends, right? Which, and I said it the other day, where they go, we want to have marriage, right? Equal rights to marriage. So, but then I say to them, but isn't marriage an institute, right? So if people have stopped believing, and this is heterosexuals, have stopped believing in the institute of marriage, right? So why is this whole thing such a big deal? Like, I mean, we need to have a religious marriage. But look at the number of divorces happening in the universe. Like, you know, everywhere we got all this people divorcing. What guarantee is it that once you get legal right to marry, you're not going to divorce? Can you guarantee me that? And no one can. So I don't know why we make such a big fuss. Again, because of the misinformation that it's such an institute. You got to have it. If you don't have that piece of paper, right, you're not legal. I mean, last time I checked, we lived on this planet that's round and it's called Earth, and we're all humans, right? I didn't realize that people, you know, want to be so different to one another because they're aggressing on each other on this information that I am special, I'm black, I'm white, I'm, you know, Asian, I'm, you know, gay. Like, again, look at the symbolism of the panda bear, right? The poor guy is black, white, and Asian, and he's happy. Why can't the world be like that and be humans?
Good point. That's a good point, Sanjay. Sherry, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I have some agrees and some disagrees. I agree with you, Sanjay, that everyone's hyped up on the piece of paper and everything. But where we are right now, if some people get the piece of paper and get to be married, then it should be for everyone, no matter if you're heterosexual, bisexual, homosexual. If you want to, you know, why not? Why should I just be allowed it? Because, you know, what I am is accepted in the mainstream. But also back to what the ambassador was saying about religion. I'm not claiming to be completely enlightened here, but a lot of the religions have been created by human beings. And so they make certain rules and laws. And I think if anyone, I mean, I feel where I stand now that if someone wants to be married under a religion, if they're homosexual, you know, bisexual, heterosexual, whatever, have to it. It's your right.
Well, you know, Sherry, it's interesting that you say that because there's so much we don't know. And so, you know, there's so much research out there. And I think that when our souls come, you know, when our souls incarnate here, you know, maybe our soul was a different sex in a past life. And so we had some memory of that. And so we identify with that, but we're in the wrong body, because if we're identifying with a different gender and we're in the opposite gender, you know, then we have this conflict. And I think that's the conflict that people have when they're homosexual or they're transgender and whatever. But you know,
but our DNA is so close.
Luisa, you know that you're now sounding as a Shia Muslim scholar.
You're the scholar, not me.
They're the one making the same statements for allowing to have a sex changes and the marriage, because they say that some people are born in the wrong body. And they feel since they were a kid being wrong in the body, and that basically that they should have a right to be in the body that they really should be in. Okay. Now, what I'm talking about, what I try to tell about the church, marrying in the church and marrying in a synagogue or marrying inside a mosque as an homosexual, is that actually, if you read it, I can say like, sure, yes, these things was maybe made by men, but it's still made by men, and it still has a belief system based on some form of fundamental laws. And if you're reading the Bible, you're reading the Quran or the Torah, you will see that not only that God disconsent with homosexuality, he even punished homosexuals with death in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so basically, with that in mind, that type of mindset, by my opinion, can a homosexual believe in God? Yes, he can. Can a person who is not, who is a criminal, basically, can he, you know, in some law be a criminal, in some other place not be a criminal? Yes, he can be. But the thing is the same thing. I have an ambition. Now I'm just telling for example here. I have an ambition, for example, that I like to have sex, for example, with a goat. Okay? Now, Now, this is also punishable by death in the in the Bible and the Torah and all these different things. And I maybe love this goat very much. He was with me since he was a young little kid. He used to sleep in the bed with me and so on. And now I want to marry him and I want to make love with him. And I should be entitled to marry with him, even if I'm not, in the church. I want to take the goat to the church and I want to marry him. That's my right. I can make that point too, but I don't think that I would have a lot of support from the animal activists or many other religious people. So, I mean, this is why I'm saying that I believe that, you can be believing in God as much as you want to, but, keep certain things out of the religious institutions because they don't belong there. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's not that I'm myself is anti anyone. I'm anti, ignorance, as I stated many times before. And if you look at, for example, President Putin, which has also been in the media about that so many times, that they're banning homosexuality in Russia. This is not the truth. What the Russian people did was banning to promote homosexuality in the media. That was a different thing. And you will still find the gay clubs in Moscow. You will still find homosexuals in Moscow. Yes, will they be aggressed upon more or less than others? Yes, because it's culture difference. So I think that, we have to put the truth where it belongs, and that's what I'm saying. And I hope that people doesn't take offense. Yes, it's not true. I'm not in love with the goat, but I just use that as a symbolic type of thing, because there's a lot of people saying that Muslims love animals, and especially Arabs, and they're being accused of having relationships with this. So this is the thing, and so it's about building up images about people in their mindset. And I think that this is wrong. We need to engage with people more, and really find out who is who.
Okay? The ambassador is uncensored today, and he certainly knows where to find trouble. So, Radagast, it's up to you at this point to see if we can kind of sort through, this. I know you have something to say about marriage and this idea of unity consciousness and God consciousness.
Well, with regards to marrying a goat, let me just say, nah. But
you see, the modern lizard did it again.
Nah.
Oh man, that's very good.
Go ahead, Rad. Let's go ahead and then Ambassador wrap it up.
Is that all you had to say?
Okay, so just with the whole, I really think that one of the biggest, ugliest memes in the disinformation in the Western media is the anti-Muslim agenda. And I think the anti-Muslim agenda helps promote two things. First of all, Palestine, or what is now Palestine, is really where Christianity began. Galilee is in the West Bank. And then Christianity moved where? To Syria, Damascus. That's where Paul went. So the two places that are getting continually bombed, which is Gaza, which is part of Palestine, the police state that's in the West Bank, and then the bombing of Syria, they are killing a lot of Christians. And one of the reasons I feel that they don't really let people know how many Christians are in the West Bank and in Syria is because they need to bomb these places. Their friend Israel wants the West Bank, so they really had to keep it quiet how many Christians are in the Palestinian population, because the Christian West would rise up against it. Right now, the governments are very quiet because the people don't bug them very much about bombing these places. If people knew how many Christians were in these places, there'd be an uproar. And to me, that's one of the biggest disinformations that we have, is how these are Muslim countries. Yes, they're predominantly Muslim, but there are so many Christians, and both of these places are the homes of earliest Christianity. Palestine and Syria are the homes of Christianity. And this is kept quiet because these are places we need to bomb. And we're going to bomb, and that's we're bombing Muslims is what the average person thinks. And that's why there's this whole anti-Muslim projection, because there's a lot of places we want to bomb that are full of Christians, but as long as everybody thinks they're Muslims, we can bomb them. And I think that's something I'd like to pull off. That's a cover that is not there. And I think a lot of people who, because there's been enough anti-Muslim thing, they've been scared with Sharia, that they don't realize that Christians are being murdered by our own forces because we're not aware. We just think these are Palestinian places. And so that was one of the things I kind of wanted to expose here, is how many Christians are in these areas. And this is something that the Christian West, what's left of a Christian West, would probably be pretty horrified, but it's kept quiet. Our Western media does not let us know about this.
And I just wanted to state one thing. You remember the days when the Islamic State said that the Christians of Iraq had a certain period of time to leave Iraq, otherwise they would be killed. The West and Europe didn't make a sound, even the Pope didn't make a sound about it. But we raised up to save the Yazidis. You understand? And this is a little bit also a problem that I want to raise, because these Christians are brown people, no one cares. Okay, and I think that's also a thing that is a big hypocrisy in the West. As long as if it would be white Christians or white Jewish people being slaughtered, it's a big thing. But if brown people die, no one gives a shit. Okay, and that's also a thing that is the reversed racism that is based in our media. To a white life is much more worth than a brown life, and that's the fact where you have this. The life is worth equal. I believe it is. And I think that's a problem you see inside of America too. And this is also represented in our way to look at the world. If the world is brown, we don't care if it's a genocide going on, because we don't feel it's about us. And since we control all the military might, we don't care. And so it's the same thing in Bosnia. I don't think that people would care, if it wasn't for the Bosnians look white, and they're all white and they're Slavic, I think that genocide will be continuing, and they probably would be totally, removed of the face of the planet, because of the fact no one cares about Muslim lives. And I don't think people care about brown lives either. And that is the consciousness that when we are the minority, we are the white minority on the planet, and there's billions of brown people, and the minority can continue to suppress the majority, then we are wrong. We need to be equally having powers on what's happening in the world. So let's think, this is the last thing I want to say, at least, is that I want to thank the people again to join us in this discussion and basically turning the true vision of peace into a mission. And basically, as I stated many times before, I hope that many more will join us in this battle on ignorance. And I hope that people doesn't feel offended. Like I usually say, you feel offended about our discussions, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador and reporters.
Yes, I'm muted. I discovered again, as I came into this, I came out of it, muted again.
Gotcha.
So thank you, everybody. We had a really great talk today. We'll have more time to do this next time. I also wanted to make an announcement that for anybody who has questions that they'd like to submit to us, to please feel free to put those in the comments section on the Global Mission of Peace website. The YouTube channel where this will be posted. It's also posted on ModWiz 125, which is Radagast's site. So if you have questions, by all means, we invite you to ask questions that are reasonable. We don't want any trolls, because we're not going to waste our time asking those questions. So don't bother posting them, because they won't be read. We just want to thank everybody, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless.